Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Steve from I Can You Can Cook. Thanks for joining us. Looks like we've got a couple in already, which is fantastic. What I'll probably do before I get stuck into any cooking is just have a little chat about what this is and why I'm doing it and where it's going to go in the future going forward. So I want to do some classes online just to improve my experience in giving classes and talking about food and things like that, and kind of see where it takes me. They're always going to be completely free. These ones that I do on YouTube, they'll always be free. No charge for them. I love doing it, and I really want to get more kind of more experience, basically getting my head around equipment, cameras and lights, and in a kitchen environment is difficult, I'm not going to lie, but I think we're there. So you should be able to hear me okay. I have put something on the microphones that's called a sound gate, because there are going to be fans and stuff going on in the kitchen, and I want to try and cut that out for you guys. So if the sound starts to get a little bit choppy because of the sound gate, you've let me know, but it should be okay. You should be able to hear me okay. And when I'm not talking, the main sounds of the fans and everything should be cut out, which is great. So there's more people joining, as I can see tonight. If you got the emails, welcome everybody. We are going to be making fish and chips, a traditional British classic. It's not your straightforward fish and chips. We're going to add a little bit of spice to the batter on the fish and get a really crispy batter on the fish. And then we're going to do triple cooked chips. Now, triple cooked chips, normally it's a long process. There's a reason why not a lot of people make triple cooked chips, because they take so long. But this stream, I'm hoping, is going to be something between around 45 minutes to an hour, start to finish. By the time we get to the end, we're going to have a plate of food that we can enjoy, and hopefully we're going to have them crispy chips. I've been practicing this week to narrow down the time it takes to make the triple cooked chips, and I think I've nailed it. So fingers crossed we won't have a live sort of failure. I mean, that'll be a nightmare, but I'm fairly confident. I've been doing them all week, and they've worked out great. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to peel and cut and make the chips. Get them going on the first cut, which is going to be a boil. Once they're boiled, they're going to go on a rack to cool, and we're going to dry them off. We're going to let them steam dry. The secret to getting crispy chips is to get as much moisture off the chips as possible before you fry them. There's a number of ways we can do this. One of them is steam drying, but the other way is during the boil, is adding salt to your water, which you should do anyway. You should season your water, but salt will draw out any moisture from the potatoes. Add a little sort of about a tip of a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, and what that does in the boiling water is it breaks down the exterior of the potato of your chips, and you get them little flaky bits that go all like gnarly and crunchy in the fryer. And I also add a little bit of sugar. Now, the reason I add a little bit of sugar is it has a similar effect to the bicarb, but also it just adds a really nice flavour to the potato when it comes out at the end. Only a little bit, it's like half a teaspoon, but it does make a big difference. Some people say they can't tell the difference, but I can. So I'll be adding sugar. Feel free to chop and change any of these bits and bobs. One thing I will say before getting stuck in is cooking is a very personal experience. I'm coming and doing these classes, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about cooking, as I do in the Facebook group. I love to talk about food, but it's a very personal experience. Having cookbooks and having someone tell you how to make a certain meal is fantastic. Always treat them as a guideline. Always treat them as a guideline. There might be things I put in my dishes that you don't like. There might be things that you like that I don't put in my dishes that you want in them. And it's very personal. You can do it. You just use this as a guideline, and we'll be rocking. So I do hope that some of you guys are cooking along. How you doing, Jay? You okay? Thanks for joining, mate. Thanks. I appreciate the support. I've got some people in from another YouTube channel I have as well, which has nothing to do with cooking. And some of them guys are going to be giving me some support today on the live stream. So that's fantastic. Cheers. Thank you very much. Now, where was I? So yes, chips. We're going to get onto the boil. I'm going to show you how to make a nice beer batter with it's going to have a little bit of vodka in it. The vodka is optional. You don't have to put it in, but bear in mind the vodka is there for a reason. The reason is you're using the vodka as a replacement for some of the moisture that you're putting in the beer, and all the alcohol, as soon as it hits the hot fat, evaporates instantly, and you get that crunch on your batter straight away. So there won't be any alcohol in your batter, so to speak. So we're going to get a nice crispy beer batter on the fish. We're going to spice that batter with a little bit of curry powder as well. Not enough so that your batter tastes like curry. That's not what we want. We just want that little hint, and it also adds a nice colour to the batter as well. And then the second and third cook on the chips are both fries. The first fry is going to be around 130 degrees, and all we're doing there is we're cooking the potato through on the inside. We don't want any colour on the chip. We're going to take that out, let that cool in the fridge. That's the point what takes time. So ideally at that point, what I'd do is I'd freeze the chips. So I do get to this point the day before. If I wanted chips for like steak and chips, I'll do cook 1 and 2 the day before, get them in the freezer, then take them out of the freezer, whack them in at 190 degrees for the final fry, and you get an amazing crispy chip. That's the best way to do it. But we can do it this way tonight and we'll still get a crispy chip. I will talk more about that when we get to that stage, and things that you can do to save yourself time in the future. Like I say, if you're watching, please do say hello in the chat. It's going to be great to chat to you. If you're cooking along, even better, please let me know. And I'm going to do a few like this where I'm streaming and just talking to you in the chat. And then once I've got to grips, and this is all kind of second nature, the streams going forward are going to include a Zoom element. So I'll be making, I'll send out a Zoom link to certain people who are cooking along, and they can join in via Zoom, and I can get them up on screen and chat to them literally live. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to it. So let's do this. One of the things you're going to need for your chips is a deep pan to boil your chips in. Before we start peeling, I've already filled my kettle. I'm going to pop that on to boil, saves waiting for water to boil in the pan. I'm going to get myself some kitchen roll. Also, one thing I would like to say is it's not always going to be this screen. You are going to be able to see what I'm doing, so I can do things like this, and you can see me working on the chopping board, etc., peeling or doing that. I've also got a bit of both, so you can see me doing both things. And also, when I'm on the hob, I've got a camera which is above, so you can see things going on the hob. I don't think you need a close-up of me peeling potatoes. So we're just going to crack on with that. I've already peeled. I'm using 3 potatoes tonight because it's only me eating tonight. It was going to be 2 of us, but Anna, my wife, has took the kids out for dinner just to get out of the way so I can, don't get disturbed whilst I'm doing this. So I'm going to do 3 potatoes. Normally for 1 person, I think 2 potatoes is enough, but I had 3. 2 are already peeled in the pot. So I'm going to peel this one. My trusty peeler. So you want to peel your spuds. When you're peeling your spuds, if you're doing all of your potatoes now, you do want to have a pot of water nearby, otherwise the potato will start to oxidize once you get the skin off, and it'll go like a black color, which doesn't affect the taste or anything, but just doesn't look very nice. So have your pot of water, and as you're cutting your chips, you can add them to your pot. So get rid of the skins. There we go. And then we'll go to the chopping board. Get myself a knife. Now, my chips that I'm cutting, I want them to be like chippy chips, that kind of size. So I'm going to do them like a finger's width, the width of my finger. You cut them however you want them. If you want skinny fries, you cut them skinny. If you want thicker fries, fat cut chips, you cut them fat. The only thing that you have to bear in mind when you're doing different cuts to how I'm doing is the thicker you're cutting your chips, the more you have to boil them, the longer time. The thinner, the less time, because you don't want to end up with mush and you don't want them to fall to pieces. Some of your chips will fall apart in the process of boiling them. I'm yet to make a batch of triple cooked chips where they don't fall apart at some point. So there we go, about a finger's width, and then we're just going to cut those into chips. Again, a finger's width. The ends are always a bit funny. Some people don't use them. I tend to not want to waste any, so I will use them for them skinny little crunchy chips. That's it. Right. We'll get our pot, which I've already got 2 already cut and chipped with water in. I'm going to add these What you want to do now is you want to get as much starch off these chips as possible. So we're going to give them a good mix in the water that's in. We're then going to go over to the sink and we're going to empty the water in the sink, put fresh water in, mix again, empty the water, mix again. I do this 3 times and then we're going to go to the stove with the pot with there's just the chips in, no water. So empty this into the sink. Fill again with water, and whilst the water's going in, give them a run round with your hands. You want as much of that starch off. Again, the more starch you get off, the crispier a chip you're going to have. So now I'm on the 3rd fill. There we go. And a good wash, and then out it goes. I'll get on my hob screen for you. You get the gas on, sort of medium high, and we'll add our boiling water. And we want to just cover the chips like that. Awesome. Now in here, I'm going to add a couple of things. As I said before, I'm going to add a little bit of sugar and a little bit of bicarb, and then obviously some salt, just a seasoning. So that'll go in there. I am also going to pop in a stock cube, beef stock cube. You can use a beef stock cube. You can use sort of the stock jellies. If you're using the jellies, only use half a jelly. And the reason we do this is you just get like a really nice beefy flavour to your chips. And again, it is optional. You don't have to do it, but for me, it makes all the difference. And I do recommend, if you've never done it, to give it a try before you kind of write it off. And then just a tip of bicarb. We'll give all that a good mix. And we're going to leave them on. Once that starts to sort of tickle, you see the bubbles start to come up. I'm going to set a timer for 7 minutes. Now that timing will change depending on how thick you've cut your chips. For me, 7 minutes is going to roughly be about right. About 5 minutes in, I'm going to check them. And what we're looking for is when you pick a chip up and you hold it horizontally, we just want a slight flex. We want to catch it just before that breaks. We've got to get them out of there into a colander and then off a colander onto a drying rack. So we don't want them too feeble. We don't want them to fall to pieces. If 1 or 2 break in half, it's fine. But ideally, we want to keep them together as much as possible. So I'll just give my knife a wipe and a clean. And that's it. Okay, so they're on for 7 minutes. We've got a few more in. Welcome. Jay says he's going to make his hot sauce next time you stream. And yes, triple cut chips, can't beat them. They're the best. A lot of people go, oh, are they worth the effort? For me, yes is the answer. Again, I'll talk a little bit more about them when we come to the first fry and what I normally do when I'm making a batch. And we'll go from there. What I'd like you to do, by the way, if you are cooking along and I'm going a little bit quick, just pause me in the chat, just ask, just say, just hang on, hang fire, I need to catch up, and I'll stop. It is not a problem. I've done this 3 times already this week, so I'm kind of on this sort of roll. I understand that if this is the first time that you are making this dish or making fish and chips this way, you're not going to be as quick, and it's fine. Just give me a shout and I'll stop. I'm going to grab my cod, which I picked up today from the Fishmongers. Fish in Timperley, which is just around the corner from me. If you're in and around Altrincham, Timperley area, I do recommend that you go and try it out. 2 top lads. I've been talking to Paul. I'll also be interviewing Paul in the coming week or so for the radio, Alti Radio, which I have a slot on once every fortnight. And yeah, we'll be talking about that. And hopefully I'll chat to him about maybe doing some other stuff involving them guys. I don't eat a lot of seafood, and it is one of my New Year's resolutions to broaden my horizons and eat more seafood. Okay, let me get myself a cutting board that I cut fish on. I've got 2 fillets. I'm going to go to the chopping board screen so you can see. Here we go. So I've got, they're huge. Look at the size of them. Nice tail of the cod there. That one's great. That one's fine. This one, so I've got this kind of little sort of dog leg on it. It's not a dog leg, but you know what I mean. Excuse me. I'm going to take that off just so I've got a more streamlined fillet, like that. And I've got 2 nice pieces of cod. Because I'm only cooking for one, I'm going to cook this one and I'm going to save this one. So I'm going to put that back on the plate. My chips are bubbling away nicely now. You can see there. I'm going to get myself some kitchen roll and we want to dry this fillet. We want to get it as dry as possible. Same reason as the chips, really. For that batter to stay nice and crispy, we want to get as much moisture off that fish as possible. And once we've done that, we're going to season it. So I'm going to get myself some salt, and I am going to season it well. All around. Sides, top, bottom. Don't be shy with this salt. This salt is going to dissolve. It's going to draw out some more moisture from the fish. And we're going to pat it dry again, which is going to soak up all the kind of salty moisture again. So we'll get that on there. Give my hands a wash. Get rid of this salt. And that's it. So you should have your cod nice and salted now. You can either just put this to one side for now, you can pop it in the fridge. In the fridge, if you've got like a modern fridge, it circulates the air, which helps dry out the fish even more when you've got air circulating around. For this, I'm just going to put it to one side for now. So we can leave that there. I'm going to get myself some tongs. And I'll go to my hob cam. We're just going to check in. It's bubbling, it's like quite violently bubbling away. So we're going to turn that heat down a little bit. We just want it to tickle away. That's a bit better. And we'll get ourselves a chip and then we'll just see it for flex. Now they're still very stiff. They've only been in a couple of minutes. So they're fine now. I can just leave them tickling away. So I think what we'll do. Hey Ben, how's it going? Good to have you in, mate. Absolute pleasure. I hope you're cooking along. If not, I expect you to be next time. Let's get on with the tartar sauce while we're waiting for the chips to soften up. So, get yourself a bowl. And then we want to whack in there about a cupful of mayonnaise. Dead easy. Does that look upside down to you? I think it does, doesn't it? Let me turn this around for you. I've only just realised that. That's crazy, isn't it? Let me go on this with this shot. And it's probably going to be easier for me to do this. And if I go on... Is that better? And then I'll have to do it on this one as well. Apologies there, guys. I didn't realise it was looking upside down. There we go. So we've got about a cup of mayonnaise. I'm going to pop that to one side, get my knife, and what we want to do first is get your banana shallot, and we're going to keep the root end, which is this end. Just going to take the tip off and then cut straight down the middle. And as you can probably hear, I don't know if you can, is my 7 minutes up. So we're just going to go back and check on the hob. and see how they are. Can you see that flex? That's perfect. That's exactly what we want. Yeah, perfect. Heat off, and we want them out of that now as soon as possible. Don't leave it in there. So I'm going to go over to my sink. I haven't got a sink cam. I haven't got another camera, but I will. I'll arrange a sink cam. But basically, you want your colander in your sink, and we're going to pour that into the colander and let it drain. Careful of the steam. I've burnt myself on steam plenty of times before. There we go. We've got one chip that just doesn't want to come out. So the chips are in there. Can you see plenty of steam? They're boiling hot. So what you want to do, you want to give them a little rough up, not strong enough to break them, but you just want to rough up the edges. And then I'm going to leave them in the sink to steam dry. They'll take a good 5-10 minutes. If your sink is near you have a window near your sink, open the window, just let that cool air get them. We want them pretty cool because after the first fry, we're going to whack them in the fridge. So actually, you don't need them cool now. But normally, what I'm trying to say is normally, you would let them cool and put them in the fridge and let them chill. And then you'd take them out and do the first fry. We're skipping the first chill, but we definitely have to do the second chill. Let's get back to our shallot. So I've got 2 halves. I'm going to use one for the tartar sauce and I'm going to save 1 half for my mushy peas. Again, there's a lot of people watching. Welcome, everybody. Please feel free to make yourself known in the chat. Say hello. Let me know who you are, where you're from. If you're cooking along or if you're just watching, please do get involved. Do you do certain things that I'm making a different way? I would love to hear if you do and the reasons why. That would be fantastic. So chopping a shallot, pretty straightforward, same as you would chop any pretty much onion or garlic. And hi Melissa, how are you doing? So on the first fry for your chips, the temperature is going to be 130°C, which I think is about 260°F. For the first fry. We're not going to try and get any colour on the chips in the first fry. We're just cooking the chip through and then we're going to take it out of that. And on the second fry, which we're going to do just before we plate up because we want the chips nice, hot and crunchy, we're going to whack that temperature up to 190°, which it should already be at because we're going to cook the fish at 190°, up prior to the last fry of the chips. There we go. So that's our shallot diced. Lovely jubbly. We're going to get ourselves some gherkins or pickles. These are cocktail gherkins. They're quite small, so I'm going to use 2. You can use 1 large. We're going to do a similar thing. So I'm going to cut into them. And then slice through. And then dice. You can do as fine a dice here or as chunky a dice as you like for your taste. I like things quite small in my tartar sauce. Lovely jubbly. That's my gherkin. And then we're going to get some capers. Now I just need a spoon because these are in vinegar and I don't want the vinegar. Capers can be a little bit fiddly. And I'm not crazy on capers. My wife loves capers, but I'm not mad on them. I'm not going to go mad with them in the tartar sauce. I do like them in tartar sauce, but, you know, you just want to dice them up. There we go. And then we are going to get our mayo, and everything is going to go in there. Lovely. I'll just give my knife a rinse. Careful not to get any more moisture in my chips, which are looking amazing, I must say. There we go. Clean your knife. Always clean as you go. Just helps in the long run. You know, I've learned that, especially cooking for a family. We love roast dinners here in this house. So cooking roast dinners. Oh, I need to change. There we go. Apologies. So we've got our mayonnaise, our shallots, our gherkins, and the capers in there. We're going to give that a good mix together. Shallots going everywhere. That looks, sorry, it's not even on shot, is it? You can see in that shot, that looks amazing. We're not there yet. We're not quite there yet. Everyone makes tartar sauce different, and this is kind of a basics. What's in this version is the basics of what you need in a tartar sauce. As you can put any other herbs in there that you want. I'm going to season that with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and then what we got in there? Salt, pepper, zest of a lemon, and then also save half the lemon, some lemon juice. Beautiful. And one thing it's crazy to say it out loud, and I'm sure a few of you will agree with me when I say it, because I can't have been the only person. When I used to cook, I've always loved cooking, but when I used to cook, especially if I was following recipes, I would just follow the recipe. I would never taste as I went. Ooh, that is nice. Right, one more thing that I need. I'll just give this a quick wipe down. Get rid of that. Needs a bit of colour in there. A little bit of parsley. Love a bit of parsley. I've always got parsley in the fridge. I put it on pretty much everything. Especially doing this, like content creation and Instagram and everything like that. Chopping parsley up at the end for the photographs, for the fancy shots. There we go. Bit of greenery in there should bring that to life, and its parsley's nice and fresh. I think you'll agree that that looks the business. Are you cooking along, Melissa? When you're asking me the temperatures, are you also making yourself some of these fish and chips? Whereabouts are you? Where are you based? I'll get rid of my peeler. I don't need that anymore. I'm going to give my knife a quick wash. Beautiful. I've got a tea towel somewhere. There it is. There we go. So what I'm now going to do is get my oil on. So I'll flick back to this. That's the tartar sauce done. We can put that aside. Don't need that now. I've got 2 fryers here. You guys, you can do this with 1. The only reason I'm using 2 is because I'm filming it, and it's going to be a lot easier for me to keep an eye on things and checking temperatures and things like that. I have an actual deep fat fryer which sets the temp, so I'm going to set that at 130 and whack that on. I'm also going to use my Dutch oven. This is what I'm going to fry my fish in. So in here is it's half filled, well, just under half filled actually, with oil, as you can probably see. I'm going to whack that on now, but before I do, I'm going to get, if I can find it. I had it a minute ago. There it is. Off the thermometer. So you can use one of these. I'm going to whack this in just because this might be what some of you guys have. Pop it on the side. dead easy. That'll tell you the temperature. We want to get this. We want to bring it up to about 160 C, which will be, let me get my phone and I will convert it for you guys who are not in the UK. 160 C in Fahrenheit is 320. So 160, 320, it's almost double that, isn't it? So 160, and then we want to sort of lower, not turn the heat off, but just lower it because it's a heavy bottomed pot. It's going to keep heating the oil. So we want to get, the aim is 190. That's what we want to cook our fish at, 190. The reason we want it so hot is as soon as we put that fish in, we want the batter to start to crisp up. If you don't get it hot enough and you put your fish in the oil and the oil isn't up to the temp, you're going to get soggy batter. There's just no way around it. So we want it 190, 320F. So 190C, 320F. I'm going to get that on now, slowly just bringing up to heat. And then when we hit 160, we're going to whack it down. So you can use one of these, which I think they call them candy thermometers, or you can use these lasers. You've got one of these are fancy. You just point the laser at the liquid or whatever it is that you want to check the temperature on, pull the trigger, and it tells you on here what it is. That's a bit more precise, but people have been using these for many, many years, longer than I've been alive, and they've not had a problem. So that's what we're going to go with. So I'm going to whack that on my small hob. And let that come up slowly. You want your pots, if you're looking at a pot of water and you're waiting for it to boil, it feels like it's taking forever, put a lid on it. Boils quicker. Okay, so I do have little sort of my bullet points because I will forget because I start to talk a lot. So we've got that on, we've done our tartar sauce. We can get ready for our first fry when we hit 130 degrees. This is coming up to 130 degrees now. If you are using one pot for your fish and your chips, just bring your heavy bottom pot up to 130. Yeah? As soon as you drop your chips in, the temperature is going to drop. We're going to turn the heat down, and then we're just going to let that rise back up to 130. You don't want to go above 130. If you go above 130, it's not the end of the world, but what will happen is you'll start to add colour to your chips before you want to. So you're going to end up with a darker chip, and we don't want our chips too dark. At this stage, we just want to cook them for about another 6, 7, possibly 8 minutes, depending on how thick they are, but have no colour. And then we're going to take them off, out of the oil, let them cool, pop them in the fridge till right towards the end of this live stream when we're going to fry them at 190 degrees. It'll probably only take 2, 3, 4 minutes to get that crunch. So bring your pot up to 130 if you've not got a deep fat fryer as well. And we're getting ready with our chips. I'll show you the chips. If I click to chopping board cam, can you see how they're fluffed up? And we've got all these kind of like gnarly bits forming on the outside of the potato. That's what we want. That's what's going to make everything like really, really crispy. So they're looking really nice. I'm really happy with those. So I'm just going to pop them over there, ready to go in here at 130. Again, if I'm moving too fast, just comment in the comments and I'll slow down, I'll stop, I'll back up. If you get stuck on anything, if you don't understand anything that I explain, ask, don't worry about it. There are no silly questions when it comes to cooking. I think people are scared of cooking a lot if you're not cooked. I think by the sounds of who I was talking to prior to the stream, a lot of people who are joining us are experienced in the kitchen, but there are some people who are not experienced in the kitchen. I've been teaching my son how to cook. He's off at university, and he's clueless. He's clueless. And it's nothing to be embarrassed about. He's clueless because he's never had to do it. So there's no silly questions. I would rather you ask than make a mistake and not end up with an amazing plate of food at the end of this, which is what we're aiming for. So yeah, let's do it. So that's coming up now to temperature. It's actually at temperature already. So excuse me. I'm going to take this off. From there, and we are going to get our chips into the basket. Like that. Get rid of that, don't need that now. Spread your chips out on your basket and drop them into the oil. we're just going to let them tickle away. And we're going to keep checking on them because this is an important part. We don't want any colour. If you are cooking your first fry in a pot with oil, get it up to 130, add them like I've just done, and just keep checking on them. Do not let your temperature go above 130. If it goes above 130, just take the whole thing off the heat and let it come back down again, and then bring it back up to 130. If it goes above 130, I can't stress this enough, if it goes above 130, you're going to end up with chips that are not as crunchy as you want them to be, and they're probably going to be quite dark in colour when it comes to the final fry. Okay, so as well as that amazing tartar sauce, which tastes delicious, by the way, and the crunchy chips and the crunchy batter, we are also going to be doing minted mushy peas with some of our shallot. So I may as well peel the rest of this shallot now and get it diced, ready to go. These are going to go in, this diced shallot is going to go in raw. But what we're going to do is a little, it's not really a trick. I'm probably saying it's a trick. You're probably already fully aware of what it is and why it works. I don't know why it works, but basically we're going to dice this really fine. We're going to pop it in a ramekin, which I have, excuse me about the cough. It's just come on today, I've got a really dry throat. We're going to pop the diced shallot in a ramekin. And we're going to add salt, and we're just going to leave that. And basically it's as if the salt starts, it kind of starts to cook. There's some sort of chemical reaction, starts to kind of cook the onion, it softens it, makes it a little bit sweeter. And that's what we're going to just add at the end to our peas. So while we're here now waiting for them chips in the first fry, we'll get that done. Pop that in our ramekin. There we go. Add the salt. And just leave that. It must be like a similar to like a pickling process. I'm not too sure. Let me give my knife, oh, excuse me, a rinse. And whilst I'm here, you don't want to watch me do my pots. But whilst I'm here, I'm going to rinse the potato off my colander. It's just going to be easier to wash later. I'm going to check on these fries. They're fine. So all this is doing, this is going to soften through to the center. And when you, at the end, when you have this really crunchy chip, you bite into it and you get the crunch, it's going to be like mashed potato inside. Okay. Should we talk about the batter? Or should we hang on for those chips? Because they're not going to be that long. Let's talk about what we need for the batter. That's probably a good start. So I have 50 grams of rice flour, 100 grams of self-raising flour. You can do this in whatever quantities you want. You might not be measuring it. You might just be using like a cup or a container to measure it out. And it's basically 2 to 1. So you want twice the amount of self-raising flour to half the amount of rice flour. And then also you want a handful, I'm just using 100 grams of plain flour, and all this is for the dredge. We've got 3 different types of flour. You can do this all with plain flour. You could use all plain flour and not mix them up. It will still work, it just won't be as crunchy. It'll be fine though. So the dredging flour, we're going to season with salt and pepper. Hi Tracy, how are you? Good to have you. Hope you're well. Are you joining in or are you just watching? Let us know. Where are you from, Tracy? Do let us know. So with salt and pepper, we're seasoning that flour. Those are almost done on the first fry. I'm going to get ourselves some curry powder. Get myself another little spoon. And in the seasoning flour, probably anything between half and a teaspoon in the seasoning flour. Give that a good mix. Make sure it's well mixed and you've got all your salt and pepper and your curry powder mixed in with the flour. It smells beautiful. Okay. I'm going to turn my fryer off and I'm just going to let them drip dry in the deep fat fryer. They're perfect now. So you need to be checking on yours. No colour, remember. As soon as you just start to see a little bit of like golden, sort of yellow on the edges start to form, take them out of the oil. That's the stage that you should be at now. If you want me to slow down, do let me know. But that's where we're at now. Mine are out. I'm going to let them cool on there for a minute. We're then going to pop them on a drying rack when they're cool. And when they're cool enough, I'm going to pop them in the fridge. I've cleared my top shelf and there's nothing else in my fridge that can be affected by anything warm going in there. So just be aware, excuse me, just be aware that if you put anything hot in your fridge, it can make things like dairy and stuff, or, you know, raw meats that are in there, it can affect them. So don't do that if you've got a full fridge. If you've got an empty fridge like me, it's fine. Failing that, just open a window where it's cool or near an air conditioner or whatever, just leave them near. You want them to come down, you want them to be quite cold, and then once they're cool to the touch, we can whack them in there. So, let's get back to this batter. So we've got our seasoned dredge. We've got our 2 kinds of flour. We're also going to put in there, when I can find it. There we go. Some beer. Now you can use any kind of beer you want. Like a pale ale is ideal. This is actually lager. Our Pilsner will work. This is fine. I'm using this just because that's what I have. Ideally, it would be a pale ale. Because my throat's very dry, obviously, I'll just wet the whistle and it's definitely beer. Oh, that's nice. You want a mixing bowl? And I'll do this on that can. Tracy's from Dewsbury, West Yorks. Welcome, Tracy. So you're in the UK. It's fantastic to have you. I take it you're not cooking along, you're just watching. Are you going to give this a try? That's the question. I hope so. I hope you do. So let's get our 2 flours in there, our 2 kinds of flour. So self-raising goes in. The rice flour goes in. Oh. And again, we're going to go in with about a teaspoon of curry powder again. Oh. Wow, this dry throat. I'm probably going to end up having to drink that whole beer, aren't I? Mix that all together. Give it a good mix. And then what we want to do is start adding the beer. So we're going to add a bit at a time. With these measurements, it's probably going to be the full bottle. But the consistency that we're going for is like that of cream, like a double cream. We want it thick because we want a nice, thick, crispy batter. There we go. How are the images coming across, by the way? Is the camera shots okay? It's lucky I've got 2 bottles in the fridge because I'm going to use this whole bottle. You see, so we're going to just bring that all together. We want it as smooth as possible. We don't want any lumps. We're not going to cut any corners here. Yeah? It's kind of ribbing in a little bit. Perfect. Now, we're going to add about 25 mils, about a shot of vodka. Don't be using your fancy, whatever it's called, Wild Goose vodka that costs a fortune. Because we're only using it to put moisture in it for it to evaporate as soon as it hits the fryer. So, you know, we're not putting it in for flavour or anything like that. About 25 mils of vodka. Is optional. You don't have to do it. It just, for me, just creates a better effect. Cheers, Mark. Thank you very much. It's good to have you in. Now, let's have a look. That's looking... You know what? I think that's pretty perfect, which is nice because it saves me a little bit of beer. So let's have a little clean down. Get rid of those. Get rid of the bottle opener. Okay, let's sort our chips out that I've done on the first fry. Get myself some kitchen roll, because we do hate mess when we've spent so long cleaning. Looking at my oil there now, that's come up, that is now hit 160. So I'm just going to turn it down. That's for the fish, okay? I'm going to turn that down. Again, if you've just joined, Tracy, I'm not sure if you just joined, I am using 2 fryers. I've got this fryer for my chips, just so I don't have to keep an eye on the temperature. And I've got oil in a Dutch oven here. Any heavy bottomed pan will do, or pot. You want to bring this one up to 130 to do your chips. If you're doing it all in one pot, it's perfectly fine to do it all in one pot. Your chips actually taste really nice when they're fried after the fish has been fried in the oil. So I'm just doing this because I'm on camera and I'm trying to chat and deal with a million things at once. So let's get our drying rack over some kitchen roll like that. Yep, and then we're just gonna empty them onto there. Pop that. Actually, I don't need to do that, do I? I can leave that open. Put the lid back on. If you are using deep hot fryer, always try and keep the lid on. I've just kept it off for ages there. That's the reason why you can always smell oil when you've deep fried food, is because you've left the lid off. Leave the lid on and clean up any spills, and you won't smell the oil. Okay, we're going to spread our chips out on the drying rack. Already can feel that they've got like a nice outer layer and a soft inner, which is exactly what we're looking for. Now spread them out like that. I tend just to get another like oven tray, oven dish, pop them over, just in case anything falls through the drying rack and you're putting it in your fridge. You don't want like potato all over your fridge. So I'm going to pop that in the fridge, like so. Let that cool. And again, the reason you put them in the fridge is because it's cooler, but it also dries them, because you've got that air circulation in a fridge, which will circulate around the fries and dry them. The drier they are on the final fry, crispy they'll be. Okay, Glenn's in. How you doing, Glenn? Long time no see. It's glad you can join us, mate. I hope you're well. What are you going to cook along next time? I'm going to have another one of these. Cheers, everybody. So, chips are in, ready for the final fry. Oil's coming up to heat. I think we should get peas on. So you need to get yourself a small pan. I've got one up here, which I should have had ready, but, you know, first night nerves and all that. Small pan. I'm going to whack that kettle on again because there is water left in there. So I'll bring that water up to the boil. Frozen garden peas. You can use any peas you want. If you want to go really traditional and have like chips like you'd get from a chippy, I think they're Marifat. I think they're Marifat peas. I'm not keen on Marifat peas. I've never been able to get Marifat peas to taste like the peas from a chippy. You can buy mushy peas in a tin if you'd like. It's up to you. I just tend to like everything cooked fresh. That's it. So, a little bit of salt. Perfect. Boiling water. We're going to cover the peas and then add a little bit more, because it will evaporate. Okay. Put that on. We're going to want that on low. Just get my lid. Just bear with me 1 second, folks. Any questions, pop them in the chat, people, and I'll get to them. There we go, brill. Okay. Let's have a look. Melissa. Oh, well, I just dropped my chips all over the floor. Oh, no. Pick them up quick, Melissa. Pick them up. I won't say anything if you don't say anything. That's a nightmare. These things happen. Do not let it get you down. Smile. You know, life's too short to get, you know, upset about a few chips on the floor. Worst case, get some more spuds and do some fresh ones. Yeah. Can you save the chips? Jay's asking. At the end of the day, you're going to whack them in a pan at 190 degrees. So if you've got a clean kitchen, I'll take the risk. I'll take the risk. 190 degree hot oil. I think you'll be fine. Okay. Fish. Here is our fish. Change the screen again for you. Does this shot work? I'm not convinced it works. Does this shot work? Anyway. We've got our fish. Salted. We're going to pat that again. Even though it will look dry, but it's definitely got moisture coming off it still. Yeah? Perfect. And doing this, trust me, will make your cod or any fish taste amazing. There's nothing worse than having fish, battered fish, and the batter's beautiful and really nice, really tasty, really crunchy, but the fish is a bit bland. There's like nothing worse. So, season our fish, salt and pepper. Yep. I'm going to check my temperature on my oil in my Dutch oven. My candy thermometer is saying 180. My digital is saying 188. So that, for me, is perfect. As soon as I put the fish in, temperature is going to drop. I'm going to flick to, let me have a look, hob cam. There's my tea towel. Be careful when you're moving your Dutch oven, by the way, it does get hot. So we go on hob cam. Yeah, so I've got my peas in there, cooking away. I've got my Dutch oven, hot. Yeah, temperature gauge, bang on. Just check it again with the laser, 189. It's perfect. Perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'll set up my dredging station here so you can see. We've got our flour. You don't do this on your hob. Do this on your worktop. I'm just doing it on the hob so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to tap off my whisk, but we're going to use the whisk in a minute, so don't get rid of it. Get our fish. You're going to get messy fingers now. In the flour, yeah? Coat it well. Sides, bottom, all around, flour. If you don't get enough flour on, your batter won't stick to your fish. Yeah, but you don't want too much, so give it a shake. That's really contradictory what I've just said, but it'll make sense when you do it. And then we're going to go into the batter. Yeah. Like that. Swap ends so that get both ends covered. And we're just going to tap it off. And we're going to keep hold of it, and we're just going to let that go in like so, start to cook. Because if you don't, you just drop it in, it'll stick to the bottom. And in it goes. So, whilst that's starting to cook, just get all this batter off my fingers. While that's starting to cook, You're going to get your batter, your whisk, and you're just going to batter drop in over the fish. Yeah? And then you're going to baste that batter so that starts to cook and crisp. And then we're going to turn. And we're going to do a similar thing on the other side. Yep, and this will just create little gnarly pieces of batter, which is what we want. And then we're going to baste. If you're from Yorkshire, you can see here's what they call scraps, all these little bits of batter. In Yorkshire, you can buy a bag of scraps with your chips. Yeah, and you can see how crispy that is already. Okay, so we're going to keep an eye on the temperature because we don't want it to go above 190. I'm going to pop the lid back on. I'm going to put the fan on my extractor. If it's too loud, let me know. I just don't want to get greasy steam everywhere. I'm doing this one to be fine. If it's too loud, do let me know. 5-second reel says Glyn, yes. I can recook this meal tomorrow. Melissa, keep going. Don't give up, because you can always do it tomorrow as well. It's amazing, trust me. Cassie, great video. Can't wait for the next one. Thank you, Cassie. Thanks for joining in. I hope to see you on the next video. Let me know. You know what? Give me some recommendations of what you guys would want me to cook. They need to be something that I can cook in an hour because we don't want the live streams to go on for too long. 45 minutes to an hour, I think, is perfect. Above chopping board camera shot is perfect, says Tracy. Thank you. Can you reuse the oil again? And if so, how often, please? So, with your chips, 100% yes. You can just drain oil and reuse it. This deep fat fryer that I use is a Tefal one. I can't remember what it's called. I'll get the name. Oleo Clean. O-L-E-O Clean. Tefal Oleo Clean. I know they do them in the States as well. And it has this container at the bottom. And you flick a switch once you finish using it, and it lets all the oil drain out, but it filters it. So you're left with all the junk, the crumbs in the main body, and clean oil in the bottom. And you can do that up to 3 times. But, disclaimer, and one of the reasons why I'm doing fish in a separate pot, fish will transfer, the flavour of fish will transfer to oil. Other things are fine. Chicken's fine. It doesn't really happen with chicken or pork or anything like that. But fish, everything will taste like fish. So you can't really reuse that oil unless you're cooking fish again. So if you're having fish and chips twice in a week, 100% save that oil and reuse it. All you need to do is put it through a sieve, get all the bits out, because if you keep cooking them bits, they burn, and that taints the oil and makes it not taste nice. So yes, you can reuse the oil, no problem, but only reuse oil you cook fish in for cooking more fish. Anything else is fine. I always keep the plastic bottles, so you can see them just off shot there. What I tend to decant and put them back in, and I'll mark with a pen. So when I finish here tonight, I'll put like fish and the number 1, and that means I've cooked in it once. And I only go to 3 times, and then I get rid. So yeah, you can reuse it. I'm just going to check back on our fish. Oh, it's looking spot on. Really happy with that. I'm just going to let that cook away. Temperature's perfect. We'll check on our peas. They're bubbling away. I'm going to turn them down a touch. These won't take long to cook at all. And then once they're cooked, we're going to drain them, let them steam dry the same way we did with the chips originally. We're going to add some butter. We're going to season with salt and pepper. Add some mint sauce. If you've got fresh mint's even better. I just didn't have any, and I couldn't get any from the supermarket, weirdly enough. There was no mint leaves in the supermarket. What are we going to, mint sauce, butter, and a little bit of cream. Again, optional. And we're going to mash them together. We're not going to mash them to a pulp, so they're like a like a mousse. I want a little bit of texture in there, but just for the flavour. Put a little bit of lemon zest in, and they're amazing. They're amazing. Let's have a look in this chat. I'm cooking the fish now, says Melissa. Awesome, awesome. If you are in the chat or if you're watching and you're not on the Facebook group, the I Can You Can Cook Facebook group, please do get over there and join. I've got two, so I've got a page on Facebook, which is my personal like cooking page, which is Steve's Recipes ICUCC, obviously, I Can You Can Cook. But then there's the I Can You Can Cook Facebook group, which is not about me, it's about everybody. Everyone can share in there, we can all chat, share recipes, things that we find online that are on discount, anything you want to talk about. If you're having a bad day, you can get on there and talk about it. So please do join the Facebook group. If you're not subscribed to the channel, you know the dance, get subscribed. Okay, so I'm almost ready to set my fish out. Little tip for you. On your chopping board, I'm going to use 2 knives, yeah? Just put them like that. When we remove our fish from the oil, it looks amazing, this, guys, by the way. When we remove our fish from the oil, you don't have to do this, but the reason I do this is if you just put your fish on there to dry off and get rid of any excess oil, which we're going to use this for, the batter, which is touching the board, is going to soak up all that oil and it's going to be soggy, which is fine. It tastes good. And you're just going to have still going to be crunchy on the top, but underneath the fish will be not crispy. If you lift it off slightly, it'll dry all the way around and it'll be crispy all the way around. So you don't have to use knives, you can use teaspoons, you can use chopsticks, you can use whatever you want. Just put two of them down. This fish is almost ready. We're going to take the fish out, I'm going to take that off the heat. I'm going to whack this one up to 190, and then we're going to get them chips in. We're going to mash the peas, the tartar sauce is done. How are we doing for time? We're absolutely smashing it for time, which is amazing. Let's have a look. Excuse me. Carbonara, yes. It's a bit fiddly though, and there's a bit like a big margin for error there, Glenn. The egg could scramble on me. Maybe no good for a live stream, but could do like on a stew. Yeah, I could, because what I could do is cook a stew to have the finished product, but then go through the method again. So basically, I've got 2 stews, so I'll go through the whole method and go, right, okay, now you put that in your oven for 2 hours, 3 hours, and here's one I prepared earlier type thing. Could do. Could you do ribs and tacos? I could do, Jay, 100%, yeah. Stir fry, says Glenn. Yeah, stir fries are easy. Like a lot of Asian dishes are quite quick. I struggle getting a nice brown noodle when I stir fry. Would love to see how you do it. Yeah, 100%. Let's do some stir fries and steak. You know me. You know me well, Glenn. Right, I think this is ready. So I'm going to turn the heat off. I'm going to get my chopping board and let it drain. Don't go straight on because you just get grease everywhere. Let it drain off. Pop it on my knives. Put them a little bit closer together, actually. Like that. Get rid of that. And I'll tell you what I will do. Just because it's not exactly a healthy dish, is it? So I don't think we're that fussed about a few extra calories. We'll get those scraps as well. Put the lid back on so it doesn't smell. We can get rid of that. Now remember, if you're cooking everything in one pot, what you want to do now is get this up to 190 again. Yeah, we're going to get this up to 190. I'm not, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to finish my chips in the deep fat fryer. Get that out of the way, nice and safe. Check on my peas. Lovely. We want to kind of overdo the peas slightly. because we want them to be really soft. So what I'll do, if I just go to chopping board cam, and look at that. Yeah? And that was a thick piece of cod as well. Well, how amazing does that look? Can you hear that? I don't know if you can hear that because I've got the that filter on that comes through and stops any like high-pitched sounds or like background noise. You might not be able to hear it, but that looks amazing. Okay, so I can put this to one side because that's red hot, red hot. Don't worry about that going cold. That will not go cold. Sealed in the batter. The fish inside will stay hot for 20 minutes minimum. Let's get cracking. Let's whack this up to 190. Gives us a little bit of time. So I think what we'll do is we'll work on the peas. Right. Ideally, you want a masher, but you can do this with a fork. You don't need that now. Get rid of that. Remember, clean as we go. Steak dish, curry, yeah, 100% Glyn for a curry, but they've got something special for a curry planned. It's BIR curry, which is British Indian restaurant style. But I can do some like normal curries, but 100%. I've come up with some amazing curries over Christmas that I'm looking forward to getting on the blog. So I may as well, I could live stream a few of them and do it. Tracy says, well, look at the fish, yeah, I can't, I'm my mouth's watering. Cassie, cooking salmon so it doesn't go dry. What are you cooking salmon now? Are you saying, Cassie? I'm defo's trying this. Look at that fish, says Jay. Do, and make sure you let me know how you get on with it. Right. Whilst that's coming up to temp, let's do the peas. So I will change to the split one. Have a little drink. Just make sure it is still beer. It's still beer. Right. I'm going to turn the hob off for now, but they're going to go back on the hob. What we want is to drain that first. I'm getting carried away with myself. I want to drain these in your colander. And then we're going to let that steam dry. And we'll get everything else ready. So we're going to want some butter, mint sauce, and a spoon, salt, pepper, lemon. We are cooking, people. There we go. Right. I forgot there was no peas in there for a second. Okay. I'll let them dry a little bit more. If you don't let them dry enough before you do this step, what you end up with, they're just a little bit more wet, which is fine. They'll still taste amazing. They will be more of on the mushy side of a mushy pea. This is kind of like a pea crush that I like to do. So I like them a little bit drier because we've got lots of moisture in the tartar sauce, and I like to have different textures on the plate when I'm cooking, when I'm eating. So they're steaming now. Excuse me. Let's get them back in the pan. There we go. We want a little knob of butter. Perfect. A teaspoon of mint sauce. This is great. Has it gone very dark, or is that just me? Huh. I'll rinse that spoon off. And then, now I've got some extra thick cream. You can just use normal double cream or heavy cream. Just be careful how much you put in, because the moisture will make everything very thin. So what I need now is something to mix with. Which would be handy if I was a little bit more prepared. There we go. That's in there. Salt, pepper. zest of a lemon. Before we start to mash, I want the butter and the cream and the mint sauce to all incorporate, because I don't want any bits that are kind of just sort of chunked together. There we go, lovely. We get our masher. Sorry, I'm off camera there, aren't I? And it's just a case of mashing. So my oil is now up to temp, which is perfect timing. Get them off. Look at that. Beautiful. So I'm going to put that back on the gas ring that it was on. It's not on, but the gas ring and the irons are still hot, so I'll keep that warm. Chips out the fridge. Why not drop them on the floor? And then into this hot oil. Be careful putting them in this oil. That's very, very hot. And place them in the basket first. If you're not using a basket, you're using a slotted spoon. Just lower them in gently on your slotted spoon. And this cook now is going to be very quick. Let's try and spread them out. You want an even cook all around the chips. You don't want them to stick together. These are nice and cool now. These should come out pretty good. Okay, get rid of that. And in they go. That's it. You've done all you can do with those. So any of the work done previously, that's it. What we're going to do, ready for them chips to come out, get yourself a bowl or a plate or anything like that. Kitchen roll. Ready to come out. We're going to shake them into there just to soak up excess oil. We're going to get our plate. Get all this stuff out of the way. I'm a messy pup, aren't I? Our shallots can now go in the mushy peas. You want to give that a good mix with them salted shallots in, which will be nice and soft, but you still get that flavour of the shallot coming through, which will cut through kind of like the vinegar in the mint sauce. And it's amazing. You are going to love that. Okay, so while they're cooking, I'm eating my fish. It's absolutely delicious. I'm so happy, Melissa, that it's nice. So happy. Please, did you take any pictures that you can post in the group? That was my next question. These chips are looking good, guys. Chips are looking good. It's just a case of waiting up now, and then we're going to plate up. So let's do this. Get everything ready to plate. Excuse me, I think I need another drink. That's ready. Tartar sauce. Looks amazing. You know what's really nice in tartar sauce? Fennel. Really nice. Let's go. I'm out of beer. I've accidentally, excuse me, on purpose, made enough peas for 2 portions. So I may have a pea sandwich. for my supper. We're nearly there, people. We are nearly there. Let's have a look here. What time is it in Tennessee, Melissa? We are currently sitting on 22:08. Is it? Is that 22:08? Is that the right time? Yes, 22:08 in the evening. Yeah, in the UK. Have you all subscribed? That's the question. And if you could all share the channel, the group, the page, I would be indebted to you. I will owe you a drink when you're in the UK, and I will offer you up a drink right now and say, cheers, guys. We have smashed it. Let's have a look. Oh, yes. Nailed it. So I'm going to get my salt and vinegar ready. Is it fish and chips without salt and vinegar? I'll tell you what I will do. Where's my knife? Let's have a look. Oh, God, these are good. Turn the fire off. Super happy. I am super happy. I don't know, because I've got that noise filter thing on, I don't know if it lets the sound through. So I'm just going to turn it off because I think it'll be worth it. So we go like this. Get rid of that. Can you hear that? Oof. Let's set it back on. And close that. Right. So whilst the chips are fresh, get used to. I picked up the tea bags instead of salt. That would have not ended well. Whilst the chips have still kind of got a wet oil on, you want to salt them now. If you let the oil dry off them too much, the salt will just bounce off the chips and it won't stick to them. Okay? So salt them now. Vinegar goes on last. Vinegar is the last thing you put on. Right, should we plate up? Should we get on the chopping board and plate? Let's get this somewhere in the center. Okay. So we have our fish. We have our triple cooked chips, which are unbelievably crunchy. As if by magic, I don't know if you can hear that again because of that noise gate filter that I've got on. The cat has just come down the stairs in front of me and jumped up. Ew, terror. Go on. Obviously can smell fish. So that's our fish and chips. Plenty left for that mushy pea sandwich I'm going to have later. Look at that. Look at that. And then tartar sauce. And then last but not least, well, in fact, it's not last, vinegar over everything. A lemon slice. A lemon on the fish, because why wouldn't you? And that's it, folks. Fish and chips, triple cooked chips, crunchy beer battered fish, amazing homemade tartar sauce, and a minted pea, like mushy pea kind of crush thing. Amazing. Well done. I hope you all enjoyed it. My mouth is watering. The cat is meowing. I cannot wait. Oh, we almost forgot something. We almost forgot something. Our scraps. Let me go back onto this shot. Scraps, guys. The crunchy bits of batter. Look at that. Gordon Ramsay, eat your heart out. That's what I say. Again, thank you everyone for watching. I was really nervous prior to the stream, I'm not going to lie, because it was the first one. I was afraid something was going to go wrong. I did stream a roast dinner once. I think it was like a 2.5 hour stream. Glyn was there. We had major problems with the audio. I hope the audio has stayed true to sync this time. It should have done. I think I sorted all them problems out. But yeah, thank you. You guys are the first people to join in on my very first stream, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Hopefully you'll tune into more. We'll get a little bit smoother. I'll get a bit more used to changing the cameras and moving things around. Yeah, and just make them more smooth, and then we'll move on to the Zoom, and I can get you guys on wherever you are in the world, whether you're in the UK, whether you're in the States, or wherever, anywhere. And we can literally chat, and I can see what you're doing, and we'll have a lot of fun with it. So please do subscribe. Please tell your friends, if you're in any other foodie groups, you know, share this channel and let them know what it is I'm trying to do. Don't charge for this. It's entirely just for me to get experience talking to people about food and teaching classes and things like that. So yeah, I thank you so, so much. Some of you guys I will no doubt chat to in the next few days. For those of you that are not in my Facebook friends, hopefully I'll chat to you in the group. Go and join the I Can You Can Cook group. And yeah, thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you next time. Take care.